China. 1. China has recently emphasized the importance of data protection and cybersecurity, with significant legislation like the Cybersecurity Law and the Personal Information Protection Law. These laws establish a comprehensive legal framework for data protection, emphasizing user consent, data minimization, and the security of personal information. China's approach reflects its focus on national security and the balance between data utilization and protection. India. 1. India's data protection landscape is evolving, with the Personal Data Protection Bill under consideration, which is inspired by the GDPR. The country's current IT laws provide a basic level of data protection, requiring reasonable security practices and procedures. India's proposed laws signal a shift towards more stringent data protection, with an emphasis on individual rights and cross-border data transfer restrictions. Indonesia. 1. Indonesia has several regulations addressing data protection, primarily under the Electronic Information and Transactions Law. The regulations require consent for data processing and have provisions for data transfer outside Indonesia. Indonesia's framework is sectoral and somewhat fragmented, indicating a need for a more unified data protection regime. Japan. 1. Japan's Act on the Protection of Personal Information, APPI, is a comprehensive data protection framework that aligns closely with international standards, including recognition of adequacy by the European Union. Japan emphasizes the protection of personal information, user consent, and restrictions on cross-border data transfers, reflecting a balanced approach to data protection and commercial use. Malaysia. 1. The Personal Data Protection Act in Malaysia governs the processing of personal data in commercial transactions. It outlines principles similar to those in GDPR, such as consent, notice, and data subject rights. Malaysia's framework demonstrates a commitment to protecting individual privacy while also facilitating the digital economy. Philippines. 1. The Data Privacy Act of 2012 in the Philippines is heavily influenced by the GDPR, establishing robust data protection standards and creating the National Privacy Commission. The Act covers principles such as consent, data subject rights, and data breach notifications, showing strong protection for personal data. Singapore. 1. The Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, in Singapore provides a comprehensive framework for data protection, balancing data innovation and privacy. Singapore has also introduced the Digital Data Protection Bill, emphasizing accountability, data breach notification, and enhanced penalties for non-compliance, showcasing its dynamic approach to data protection. South Korea. 1. South Korea's Personal Information Protection Act, PIPA, is one of the strictest data protection laws, with stringent consent requirements and data subject rights. South Korea's legal framework reflects a high level of individual privacy protection, along with specific laws for information and communications networks. Taiwan. 1. The Personal Data Protection Act in Taiwan outlines principles for data processing, emphasizing the protection of personal data, consent, and data subject rights. Taiwan's approach is comprehensive, with specific attention to sensitive personal information and cross-border data transfers. Thailand. 1. Thailand's Personal Data Protection Act, PDPA, inspired by the GDPR, marks a significant step towards comprehensive data protection. The PDPA includes principles such as consent, rights of data subjects, and data processor obligations, indicating Thailand's commitment to international data protection standards. Vietnam. 1. The law on cybersecurity and the law on personal data protection in Vietnam focus on data privacy, cybersecurity, and national security. Vietnam's regulatory framework is evolving, with an emphasis on data localization, user consent, and the protection of personal information in the digital environment. Conclusion. The overview of data protection laws across Asian countries reveals a diverse legal landscape influenced by cultural values, economic interests, and international standards like the GDPR. While some countries have established comprehensive data protection regimes, others are in the process of strengthening their laws to better protect personal data in the digital age. This diversity reflects the unique challenges and priorities of each country in balancing data protection with technological advancement and economic growth.